Good evening, everyone, and happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday from shadowy Whitby studio today. Not sure if I just don't have my lights in the right spot or what the deal is. Let me see if I can maybe bring that one a tiny bit closer, because you're going to want to see what I'm doing tonight. We got some eyeballs on there, Matt? Starting to, all right. Actually, maybe if you do want to turn off that light behind me, we'll see if that works a little bit better. There we go. A little bit better. All right. So tonight we are going to play a little bit with new Lawn Fawn coloring stencils. Maybe jump in the comments and let me know if Lawn Fawn has always intimidated you because you don't like to color, or you feel like you need to make a huge investment into Copic markers and that kind of thing. Well, if that is you, then tonight's demo, tonight's Learning Live just may change your mind about coloring stencils. So if you know anything about Lawn Fawn, you know that they come out with some amazing and adorable little critters. And we can do some really fun stuff like this, like in this little treat cart. I've printed this little sample out for a reason, and I'll tell you about that in a little second. The stamp set that we are using tonight, let me find a piece of paper to put behind it, is this little treat cart set that came in the spring and summer release back in May, I think it was. Already feels like a blur. But in meeting with Kelly Marie and the team at Lawn Fawn a couple weeks ago in Las Vegas, we know that there's going to be lots of add-ons and things coming for this little treat cart. So I think it is the perfect example of a Lawn Fawn set that I can make very easy for you tonight. So what is a coloring stencil? Well, it really is as easy as it sounds. So the set comes with 3 individual stencils, and there's tons of stuff packed onto each stencil. I'm going to grab this colored piece of paper because that might make it easier. There we go. So here on the stencil, this is number 1 of 3. So there's the 3 stencils, and you can see the different pieces kind of outlined here on the stencil. There's a lot going on here. So here's the treat cart, here's 2 little critters, there is the little bunting banner, and then stencil number 2 is here. We've got more treat cart. Treat cart, they've actually tried to use the space as well and fill in with other things too. We've got ice cream, we've got another critter, and then here on stencil number 3, we've got the last bits of the treat cart. We've got the sign. We've got a little ice cream stand. We've got an ice cream sundae, and again, some extra little doodads. It feels like you get an awful lot in these 3 little pieces of Mylar. Now they are perfectly sized, so they go right with the stamp set. So when you put it in your whatever storage system you're using, I've got my dies here on a magnet sheet. I like to store in the Avriel pockets. I can put everything together in the same pocket and keep everything organized. But I'm going to add a few more things to this pouch, and then I'm going to get in and show you 3 different ways that we are going to use this stencil to create or to embellish our treat cart. So the first thing that I did is I went to the Lawn Fawn website, and I just printed out a sample so I know kind of what things I am coloring. Give me some ideas and some examples that can go in my little envelope. And then the other thing I did, because sometimes it can get a little confusing, and you've got all these different pieces for the treat cart, for example. There's 6 different stencil components to make up this treat cart. So what I did in order to prepare for this, and I highly recommend that you do this as soon as you take your stencil out of the package, is I created myself a template. So I saw that there were 6 different layers on the stencil for the treat cart. So I stamped it out 6 times. I labeled it. So stencil 1, image number 1, stencil 1, image number 2. These ones I got mixed up. So I've got stencil 2, number 1, stencil 2, number 2, and then stencil 3, 1, and 3, 2. And I just picked a really bold color that was easy to see, and I colored in what that stencil did. So now I have an amazing visual. So when I go to color it in and I'm going to make my whole scene, I know that part number 1 colors 1 set of stripes plus the base of the cart. Stencil number 2 colors the other set of stripes and the middle part of that cart. Stencil number 2 parts, so this would be 3 and 4 actually, but stencil number 2, number 1, stencil number 2, number 2.
You're gonna have to repeat because I think you're choppy.
Am I a little choppy tonight?
Yeah.
Okay. All of this to say that it's giving me a good visual indicator of what's going to be colored when. So that way I know what colors to grab. I'm not going to make a mistake. What's up?
And you're freezing
Okay.
quite frequently on all channels. So.
Okay, well, I'm just going to do the best we can, folks. And you know what? What's the worst that's going to happen? Once this storm passes and once technology decides it wants to cooperate, I may have to do this again. All good. We're going to keep going. So over here, I did the this little ice cream stand. And again, I stamped out 6 different images so that I could color all 6 different layers of that stencil. And I've also done the critters. So we've got, the little bear has 2 parts, the fox has 2 parts, and the bunny has 2 parts. And it doesn't matter for your template what colors you color it in, as long as you can see what that visual difference is. So that is what I do recommend for just getting yourself prepped. Go through all the different parts of the stencil and make yourself a template. Let's you know what, I'm going to stamp out the little ice cream. So there is this little ice cream sundae here. Oh, you probably can't see it with my hand there. I'm going to stamp it out. When I look at the stencil here, this is all on stencil number 3. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 parts of this little ice cream. So let me just show you how I tackle that. And I'm bringing out my waffle flower grip mat just to hold everything in place. Like so. And I need my little ice cream. I scream, you scream. It's the perfect night for ice cream. There we go. And like I said, there's 5 parts on the stencil. So I'm going to stamp this ice cream 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, I'm not going to be able to squeeze in that last one. So I'll put it down here. There's number 5. And just to keep my templates consistent, I'm going to use my Lawn Fawn artichoke ink. That's just what I was using before. And here I come to my stencil. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can label them later, but I'm just going to line that up there. Make sure that the little stamped image matches the openings. Like that. And then just add some ink. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be immaculate. It does not need to be even. But that's layer number 1. Now, if you are using your grip mat, just be gentle because you don't want any little pieces to get ripped. And I've got this colored in like that. Okay. Well, we'll just keep going. But thank you for those of you who are sticking around with us live. There's number 2. Then I'm going to come over here to number 3, which looks like it's just that first little line of ice cream. Holding it with my hand. I don't even need to tape it down. There's so little pieces. I can easily color them in. Here's going to be the chocolate on the ice cream. And then number 5 down here on the bottom is the back side of the ice cream. So just like so. So now I've got my little template all set up, and it's just my easy reference to know which layer goes in which order, and it'll help me pick my colors. Okay, so you know what, let's switch over now. We've kind of got the sense of how these guys work. Let's actually make stencil in an image just using the regular ink. I just cleaned my stencil off. It's going to go over here in my little stencil stand. Here I've got my paper. I've got my treat card. I've got the little fox. I've got the little ice cream. And actually I'm going to steal this little ice cream off the block and put it here on my Misty as well, so we can get everything on there all at once. All right, that's my little scrap piece of paper. Where'd my good piece of paper go? Tuck that in my corner. And I've strategically placed these images here so that I can actually go and use the other half of that paper. I'm just going to move that guy there. Ink it all up. And smoosh it over. Get my pressure tool. Am I still glitchy, or is it getting better? Okay, well, folks, I apologize for technology tonight. Guess it's just not meant to be my night. But thank you for sticking with me. And if you're watching me on replay, maybe the technology gods are going to look down on this and it'll all resolve on replay. All good. Okay, so there I've got my critters all stenciled out. Put my scrap piece back in just so I don't get ink where I don't want it. Get this on my grip mat. And there we go. So back to my stencils. I'm going to start with stencil number 1 to do my treat cart. And I think I'm going to try and do just some simple colors. You could do this in rainbow order. You could do all kinds of different things, but I'm going to keep it pretty simple. I'm going to go with yellow first. And the spaces are so small, you can use really small blending tools. I'm going to pull, this one is from Spellbinders. I'm going to dip it in my yellow here, and I'm going to start on the stencil area and then just blend it in to the space. Oh, look how beautiful that is. And you could still get that shading and dimension just by building up color in certain areas. Not quite the same as Copic coloring. Oh, and look, you know what? I did go off the top here, but I'm die cutting these out, so that doesn't matter. And you know what? I'm going to just do my treat cart in yellow as well, just to keep it uniform. Now, these were designed so that you do not need to clean them off in between each layer. You certainly can if you wish, and I think in this case, just because there seems to be a lot of yellow on here, I'm just going to give it a quick wipe. Try not to get in those other spaces where you don't want ink. And then I will switch up to gently, gently. Look at that. So pretty. I'm going to come over here now, line up number 2. And this is giving me the other half of the awning and the middle part of that treat cart. Get it lined up. And let's go. I'm going to go Merman on this one. That's the Lawn Fawn color. Give it a nice teal color. This time I think I'll go with a matte stick, one of the mini matte sticks. And this just goes to show you that any blending tool that you have will work for what you're trying to do. And it's super fast. And here I'm going to build in from the top and then blend out lightly towards the bottom. And easy peasy, this is coming together. Look at that. Look at that. Now, while I'm still here on stencil number 1, I don't have anything else. So I'm not using the bear or the bunny or the bunting. So stencil number 1 is done for all my different pieces. Okay, stencil number 2, that's number 3. Number 2 is over here. So on my treat card, I'm doing the wheel and the handle, the top part of the wheel. Now with this one, there are some hidden bits. So the spoon is here as well as that little popsicle. Just make sure that you don't get in those spaces when you are inking things up. If it makes you feel better, take some of your yellow tape or your paper tape or something like that and just cover those holes so you don't get ink where you don't want it. As long as you're strategic and you're using some of these smaller blending tools, you should be fine. But just in case, so I'm going to use now one of our new Prism Studios angled brushes. And for the wheel, I think I'm going to go with Storm Cloud. And just lightly build in that color on the handle over here. And that's as simple as it is. Now, while we're here, I'm going to do my fox. Now, if I look back to my template number 1 for the fox is his face and his tail. If you want to leave him white, then skip that whole layer altogether. I'm just going to color this area and leave his face and his tail white. So that is this one here. And what color would a fox be? Do I have a nice, let me get that little toe lined up properly here. I've got this one here called number 2 pencil. I'm going to try that now. Let's see if I can, just going to use the same, it's still in the yellow family, so I can still use this brush. That's a nice, maybe not as red fox as I might like, but I think it'll do the trick. Like so. And voila, our little fox is done. Easy peasy. Any questions yet, Matt? Everybody pretty quiet?
Sure.
All right, then I need stencil number 3. So stencil number 3, it's going to give me the, oh, you know what? Silly me. I forgot this one down here for the other half of the wheels. So let me come back and do that before I move on. I'm going to go back to, oh, it slid. There we go. I'm going to go back to my storm cloud and just fill in those 2 little holes. I don't need to mask because I'm pretty confident that I'm not going to make such a big boo-boo. Then it's going to go up to the top there. There we go. So that area is all colored in. I will clean these all later. You could either just wipe them with a cloth or a little bit of rubbing alcohol. So I've got a little, I did have a little, there it is, a little spritzer that just has some rubbing alcohol in it. Rubbing alcohol works really well for cleaning stencils because you can spritz it, wipe it, and it dries really, really fast. So it makes it a whole lot easier than waiting for water to dry. It looks like I'd already gotten some stuff on this one. All right, so to finish off the tree cart, This one here, if I go back to my template, is just the handle and the little spokes of the wheels. And then the last one is the arms or the tent part of the awning. Also has this little area here that and it's colored in green for my template, but it's one thing that if you were going to be putting it on a scene and you had a grassy hillside behind it, that's just to fill that area in, because the die, when you cut it out, won't cut out that area. So handle. And I've got, I've just got a little bit of ink in here. I don't want a whole lot. So I'm just going to keep that same color, but it's so faint, it's just going to tint it ever so slightly. And then move it up for the arms of my cart. This one I'm going to want brown. Let's do walnut. And a little blending brush for the walnut. Oh, that's really dark. I did not mean for it to be that dark, but that's okay. There's a little spoke down here, and it does look like I'm off center just a little bit, but that's okay because you can just pick it up and move it like so. Missed that little spot. Okay, and this is where I'm going to go back. I'm actually going to use that green, that artichoke, to do the grass in behind that wheel. There we go, easy peasy. While I'm here on stencil number 3, we can do our little treats. So this one here, let's do the brown. And I'm going to blot it just a little bit. These Spellbinders ones really tend to grab the ink, which is lovely. But in these little areas, you want to keep it pretty clean. Then I'm going to do, this is that middle ice cream. Let's do some lemon ice cream. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. And next up is the cone and the stick of the popsicle. I'm going to do that pencil. Did that help? Just a little bit. They don't need a whole lot. Now it does look like, because I was a little aggressive there, I did get some over here, but you know what? It's just this popsicle on this side. And let's do some plastic flamingo. Do I have a pink? Oh, I do have a pink one here. Awesome. Digging into all the different stashes of my blending brushes. So we'll do a pink popsicle. And I'm going to leave that last ice cream, I'm going to leave it as vanilla, so I'm going to leave it plain. And then last but not least, I've got this little guy here. So maybe we're going to leave it as a, no, let's do merman. Oh, and I'm a little off. You know, I'm going to leave the cherry because I think when I'm done, I'm going to put a little bit of red Nuvo drops on there. This is just the other part of the bowl, which I'm going to do in that same merman color. Then we've got the ice cream in the middle. So it still is a little bit of a labor of love, but you don't have to worry about markers or anything like that. You just got to pick your colors and have some fun. The ice cream on top, or the topping here, I'm going to do, was that, yeah, that was the number 2 pencil. See, I got to put my lids back on. I've got lids flying. Okay, here is walnut for the chocolate. And again, I think I will leave those last two ice creams as vanilla. And there you go. And that's as easy as it is to color with these coloring stencils. It's nice just to have your blending tools handy, have your colors handy, and then away you go. Now I'm just gonna move this. I'm going to get I've got my dies all set so I can cut them out and I can show you how we can then place them right on a card. All right, so treat cart. And a little bit of tape. Now, this would also be a great exercise that if you were sitting in front of the TV, I'm a big proponent, and this is a do as I say, not always as I do. Get stuff ready and just do your stenciling in front of the TV. It'll save you from snacking. It will get you crafting as well as maybe watching your favorite show. And then you can have all these little pieces ready so that when you go to build a scene, they're already ready to go. And you don't have to, you can build your card really quickly and go from there. All right, almost there. There we go. Tape sticking to my fingers. And the Sunday, last but not least, am I going to get that die in there? Oh, good job. Left enough space. Okay, so let's take this over to the die cutting machine. Let me cut this out. Doo-doo-doo. And presto magico, there are our pieces. 2, 3, I better put these away or I'm gonna lose them. Keep that tape can get reused. Here's my little guy. And we'll save the treat cart because we still have, I'm gonna do, I think the next two I will just focus on the treat cart instead of doing a whole scene. But this is just an example. All right, so now we've got our stuff. I'm going to cut a little background. 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. This is from the pint size patterns. And let's attach it to a card. Tape runner. Just got the halfway mark here, the 30-minute mark, so maybe even less, they're more than halfway. But hopefully you've got the idea of what these guys can do. I'm going to do a quick grassy hillside on here just so you can see how that would work. Throw things around. Craftastrophe. Put that in place. My grass is the wrong way. Is that the way I want it? No, this is the way I want it. There we go. Grab my artichoke and just make a nice little grassy area for our treat cart to sit on. I've got to practice my blending a little bit more, but you know what? No lawn is ever perfectly green unless, you're on the golf greens. There we go. Lift that up. put my tools away, put my ink away. So I've stamped the sentiment already from the giant, what is it called? It is called the Give It a Whirl Messages. That coordinates with the last brand new interactive die. I'm going to do that. And then my little treat card is just going to sit here. And so see here where the holes were? That's where that grass is really coming into play. I'll do a foam strip, and I'm just going to keep it simple. When in doubt, cut your foam squares. So my sweet little treat cart's going to come right here on the side. And I'll have my little fox. And the ice cream. We'll put the little tray of ice cream onto the ice cream stand. Like so. And this one, he's going to be eating, so it'll go right into his hands. Let's pop them up. Now I think I would, if I were doing a full court press, I'd probably put a cloudy sky in the background. Oh, and his little nose. Oh well, you get the idea. So easy and colored and ready to go. There are little sentiments on this stamp set that you could put like ice cream truck on here. You could do all kinds of things, maybe throw some gems on, and that card is done and ready to go. Now I did promise you 3 ways. We've done 1. So I'm going to quickly just do, using the stencils, show you how you can get that no line coloring effect. It is one of those things that many marker colorers try to achieve. Just as I'm talking here, I'm just going to quickly clean my stencils. It gives you that look. So if you saw on our original card, we've got the image stamped in black, and you can see those black lines. Well, no line coloring gets around that. And the way you do that is by using a lighter ink. Let me just clean that one. Rub that down, put it in my little tray to dry. Same with this one. You know, when you know everyone's watching and you can't find stuff, that feels like me tonight. It's all here, it's just hiding. All right, and then this is my actual treat cart, which we'll go over the same colors, but it's nice to start with a nice clean slate. All right, give that a little dry. I am going to get back this image here that I was doing before. Just for fun, I'm just going to flip it over to make sure I get a clean piece of paper. Let's clean the stamps. I'm pretty sure I did this before I put it away, but just in case. So instead of using black, I'm going to go to my lightest gray. And in Lawn Fawn colors for me, that is Jellyfish. I'm just going to do the treat cart, so I'm just going to ink up that treat cart in that gray. And this will really just help us have our landmarks for lining up our stencils, but everything else is going to then blend in together. Use my tool. And there we go. It doesn't even have to be perfect. It's just stamped on there in that light color. Let's clean it one more time before I put it away, because we'll do it one more time for technique number 3. and put that off to the side. My stencil mat, my grip mat. All right. So again, these light colors are really just to help us have landmarks for our stencil. So number one, once again, we're going to line that all up. And I'm going to start with my yellow. I like that my grip mat is big enough that I can put my inks on there as well. La 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 la. Some darker at the top so that it can blend down. Then down here. Going in all those areas. Lid. I'm going to wipe as I go this time, just to make it a little bit faster. Okay. Now this one was the merman. And that was with my matte sticks. All right. Give it a little wipe. So that's stencil number one. Stencil number two was the wheels and that little handle. That storm cloud. Stenciling can be very calming and therapeutic. Get my little handle over here. Move up to the next one. Just slide it on up. Get the rest of that wheel. This time I'm going to try to be a little bit lighter handed so you can see the difference in the shading. There we go. And oh, I did not wipe as I went, even though I said I was going to. Here, I'm going to change colors. I'm going to do this one in, well, you know what, just for fun and so that it stands out, I'm going to do this one in pink. Get my little pink brush, because this is a nice bright pink. And that would be so fun on this tree card. There we go. And then I will finish off with the brown on the awning arms. And there you go. So this gives it a very different look in that there really are no detail lines showing. It is simply the coloring that makes it stand out. So just as contrast, oops. So just a very different look. Now, if you felt like you wanted a little bit of detail, like maybe along the edge where that straight line is for the awning, you could go in with your glaze and you could just add that little in there, or you could use one of those teeny tiny brushes like this one and build in just some extra shading on that bottom half to give it that dimension. But there's a second way that you can use these stencils to get a different look than your typical stamped and colored look. All right, one more way, and then we will call it a night and you can get back to your lovely summer evening. I'm going to stamp it out one more time. Here's my paper. And I just want to remind you that stencils are a great way to use your pastes. I'm going to go back to black just to be, well, assuming I can find my black, just so that it stands out a little bit more. Get that little handle. So that's all stamped and ready. I am going to change my colors up a little bit. I am going to go with, no, maybe I won't. I'm going to stick with the yellow, but I have the brand new Simon Hurley Astro Paste and this one is Prom Queen, which I think is kind of a reddy pink color. So that will be fun. All right, well, I've got this. I'm going to actually go backwards this time because I've already got these inked up. And as with most things, what I would recommend is that if you are going to do paste, make it the last thing you do. That way it has time to dry. And you don't muck it up with all the other bits of your stencil. So that was that one. Let's do pink down here. I'm just going to reverse everything. See, once you get the hang of it, once you know the order of things, it goes really, really quickly. This is wheels. One little one over here on the right keeps getting me tricked up. My gray was the black handled one. There we go. Does anybody else make sound effects when they stencil, or is it just me? Matt's saying it's just me. The handle's on this one up here, but thank you. If you ever forget a spot, you can easily go back. So there are my wheels. Well, I think they didn't do the whole wheel in one step in case you wanted to do like a light gray and a dark gray to have, like a highlight or extra shading. I can probably go in afterwards with a white gel pen and just give it a little tweaky. Yeah, otherwise I'm not really sure why they didn't do it all as one layer. All right, so I'm down to my first, which is now my last stencil. So this one here, there's always sound effects. Excellent. I'm glad I'm not alone, Ellen. It would be probably, if we ever got together to craft, it would probably be pretty noisy. All right, so here I'm going to do the yellow just where the yellow was before. And for this purpose, I am actually going to leave that middle section white. I'm going to leave this part of the ice cream cart white so I can stamp a sentiment or something in there. I'm simply going to do this top part where the awning is in that glitter paste. So again, just to be safe, because you guys know I'm not great with mess. So I'm going to protect the spot that I want to be white. I'm going to get that Prom Queen Astro Paste. I have my Nuvo silicone spatulas, and these are little spots, so I don't need a lot, just a little bit, and just smoosh it down. Now, what I'm finding I'm really liking about the Simon Hurley Astro Paste, it's brand new. We got to play with it. I was really fortunate to get to take a class with Simon. It goes on with this milky kind of look to it, but when it dries perfectly clear, just leaving behind the glitter. Yeah, see, I'm taking off too much. I'm gonna just leave it thick. I can scoop it back in, and when it dries, it is just going to be stunning. Now, fairly soon after I turn off the camera, I'm gonna go and get this washed, because if this dries on here, it gets really kind of gunky. But there you go. You could use that sparkle paste or any kind of paste that you have to color in the different parts of the treat card. Or, you know, maybe you want a sparkly fox. Maybe you want red, shiny red, or even shiny brown paste on where it's supposed to be chocolate and cherries. So I encourage you, if you have not tried, I mean, I know they're fairly new, so probably you have not tried these stencils yet. Consider giving them a try. Just pick maybe your favorite of the three stamp sets they came with, which is Whoosh Kites, the Treat Card, and the Critters in the Desert, or wait till the next new release, because a lot of the stamps will have these coloring stencils as part of the complement to the stamp set. Just pick one, give it a try. Don't forget to do your templates. I certainly found it was easier to help me understand what all the different parts of the stencil are, and then just have fun. So thank you for joining me tonight. If you are joining me on replay, thank you very much. I apologize for the technology glitches, but hope you had fun. Hope you picked up some ideas on how to use some Lawn Fawn stuff and not be afraid of coloring, because it can be easy. Have a great night, everyone.